I'm a beginner photographer. In the future, I'm a digital photographer here for either business. I enjoy taking pictures of almost anything. Being a photographer this is one of my goals. A look in the woods. My content area is graphic design. My objective is create a double exposure effect photography edit. I'm going for a trippy look, and the picture will be of me, but with an overlay picture of the woods. My final product visual. Here's my final project visual. I was thinking about talking to Mystery about making it the cover of our Facebook page for our class. Equipment and software. The equipment I used was an A181A052IT A7 computer. This applies to my project because it is what I will be using to save all my work and using my software on. My camera is a T50, and it applies to my project by using it to take my photos for the project. The software I used, Photoshop. This applies to my project because I will be using it to create my edit. Educational resources. I used videos off of YouTube like Adobe Photoshop CS6, how to blend or fade two images together, create an easy 3D effect, Photoshop tutorial, double exposure effect, Photoshop tutorial, online expert, Photoshop CC session 1, and online expert Photoshop CC session 2. My production timeline. By 9/21, I will be watching the double exposure effect Photoshop tutorial as an educational resource to know how to have the picture of me cut out and ready to move on to the woods overlay. By 9/26, I will have the clipping max ready so I can begin the double exposure effect on the woods in the picture of me. By 9/27, I will have the black and white filter added to the overlay and had added the tree to cut out the mask. By 9/28, I will be completed with the masking tool. Then I will begin to create the effect by blending them together. By 9/29, I should have the max placed in position right, and all my blending options should be corrected, and I will begin on the finishing touches. By 10:03, I will have a quote added on the right side of the edit that I have chosen and maybe some birds added. By 10:05, I will be done with any finishing touches I would like to add to my project. By 10:07, I should be completed with my project. Here's my task list. 4.4, create presentations using presentation software. I met this task by making my presentation to describe and show how I did my custom project. 5.04, manage the various file types. I met this task by paying attention and making sure all my files are saved in the correct file type. For example, I would need to know what file type I upload to Photoshop, in which case it would need to be a JPEG file. 9.03, apply principles of design, layout, and typography appropriate for a project. I met this task when I added the quote to the side of the edit, and I decided on what type of typography I wanted to use to drag attention to the edit or understand it. Task continued. 11.04, create an object using graphic design software. I met this task by creating an object using the Photoshop CC software. 14.01, communicating with peers about design and content plans. I met this task by communicating with my peers about my project. I will be asking for opinions and maybe things I could maybe do different about it. New tools used. The pen tool. This tool helped me cut out layers quicker than using the eraser tool on Photoshop. The mask tool. This tool helped me with doing the main part of double exposure effect of my project. Real world situations. How this project applies to the real world is the skills of Photoshop and graphic design skills that I learned through this project. I could use these skills for the future projects and/or jobs. Peer review. I had reviewed Hannah Painter's video for her brother to see if I had any advice for it. I had also reviewed and gave advice on Rachel Sinclair's project. And that's all.